this pattern is so versatile, you can actually upgrade it depending on the personality of each little fluffy being. So this was the first one that I did. Um, I call him Fluffy because he's fluffy, all fuzzy. Everything is fuzzy. So this is my first one that I did. Um, and then I decided, I need to test my pattern just to make sure that it's good. So then I made this one. This one's not fuzzy, but I did give him some freaking hair because, oh my goodness, look at him. He's so cute. Or she, or I don't know. I call him Blue Fluff. So we've got Fuzzy and we've got Blue Fluff. Yes. And today we're going to make another one. I'm actually calling this one I'm actually calling this one Butterscotch Sherbet because we are using the Premier Basics. This is warm beige for the body color. His beak and feet are going to be this light yellow. This is a Red Heart Super Saver. Now, the wings and the tail and all the embellishments are going to be these next two colors. The first one is this peony pink by or not Super Saver. And then again, Premier Basics, and this is the color of coral, I believe. Yep, coral. So I'm calling him Butterscotch Sherbet because that's what he looks like, or will look like. What he will look like. My name is Marty, and I am literally obsessed with all things crochet. So let's already hop on in. To get started, we're going to need a few things. 4 colors. We need one for the body, one for the beak and the feet. We also need 2 colors at least for the wings, the tail, and all the embellishments that you want to do. We're going to need a 3.5 millimeter hook, some scissors, also a darning needle. Hard to see. Ooh, this light's bright. Sorry about that, y'all. Darning needle and safety pins. Not sa- Why did I say safety pins? I always say safety pins. Really, they're straight pins. They're straight, and they're not safe because they hurt. But anyway, I digress. And we need some fluffy fluff. So, without further ado, let's pop on in. Okay, so we are going to start by making a magic ring and chaining 2. Now, this does not count as a stitch. It just gives us a really good start for our heart. We're going to then put 1 double crochet, then 2 treble crochets. Now, with the treble, you wrap the yarn around twice and then pull through 2 loops each time. Follow that with 3 double crochets. Then we're going to chain 1, put in another treble crochet, and follow that treble with another chain. Then we're going to work the exact opposite way by putting in 3 double crochets, 2 treble crochets, and then another double crochet. We're chaining 2 at the very end, and this again does not count as a stitch. It just helps us go ahead and slip stitch into the ring to complete our heart. All right, so for the large heart, we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did for the smaller heart. We're going to inside magic ring, chain 2, do a double crochet, 2 treble crochets, 3 double crochets. Then we're going to chain 1, do a treble crochet for the point, and then work our way all the way back around. Okay, so for row 2, we're going to go ahead and chain 2, and into the very first single crochet, we're going to pop in 3 single crochets in that one stitch. We're going to follow that with 2 increases. And then we're going to do 3 single crochets until we get down to that chain space. Now we're not going to crochet into the chain space. We're actually going to single crochet into the actual chain. Make sure you've got one side of the loop right there, and pop a single crochet in there, and then into the next stitch, drop 3 single crochets into that stitch. We're going to follow that up with crocheting a single crochet into that next chain, and then follow it up with 3 single crochets, just like the other side, followed by 2 increases. And then 3 single crochets in the next stitch. Then we're going to chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch right into the center of that ring. You're going to need 9 of the large hearts in color 1 and 2 of the large hearts for color 2. So we're going to be putting these larger hearts together. We're going to make sure that the right sides are out, meaning wrong sides are together. And we're going to connect the hearts by just single crocheting them together. We're going to start in the 3rd stitch on the right. We're going to 2 single crochets down into the center. And then we're going to actually single crochet into the center of that ring. And then we're going to single crochet all the way around to the very tip of the heart. Now right here in the tip, we're going to put 3 single crochets to keep that tip straight. And we're going to go ahead and clip those ends, tuck them into the center of the heart, and finish single crocheting all the way around to the beginning. Then we're going to sew to connect. So we're going to go through both loops in the first single crochet that we did, pull that all through, and then we're going to sew it back into the last stitch that we made into the very center. That's going to give us a nice clean finish. No slip stitch here. And then we're going to go ahead and finish weaving in our ends. There we go. And then we have our completed large heart. As you can see, it looks good from both sides. And we're going to go ahead and work that in the rest of the hearts. So because this part is going to be covered, this is the front now. I'm just going to weave this on through. Could it be a bit of overkill? Yeah, maybe so, but it's fine. We're fine. So I've got that part in there. We need to figure out where this is going to come in. So I'm showing like right here. So I'm actually going to go right into here. Come up through, and then we'll go across. because again, this is going to be covered, so I'm not too worried about that. I just want to make sure that they're sturdy together because this really is the foundation of your tail. Everything gets sewed onto this, so it's super important that we get this as solid as possible. Now, you don't have to sew it exactly like I'm sewing it. The important thing is that it is just put together properly so that when the tail is sewed onto the body, which is going to be right here, that it's going to be pretty sturdy. So I promise you do not want, this needs to be solid because you're going to need to hold on to it while you sew it onto the body. And if it's floppy, which was the first time I did it was very floppy, it's a royal pain in the hind parts, I'm telling you. So yeah, don't be Marty. Okay, there we go. So there is the basis of our tail. Now I like to use safety pins, or not safety pins, but straight pins, just to mark where I want things to go. And to keep it sturdy while I sew. Now be careful that you don't poke yourself, because that's not cool. That's not cool at all. We're going to be using these ends to sew these onto here, because we don't want this showing onto this. All right, so the next that we have is this. So we're actually going to put him or her, whichever the case may be. We're going to put this one right here. All right, there we have it. We are good to go. There's our tail. We are going to get started on our feet, and we're going to need to make 2 of these. You're going to need extra stitch markers, but we're going to start with 6 single crochets inside a magic ring. Now for row 2, we're going to be working an increase into the first stitch. And then we're going to mark the back loops of the next 3 stitches because we're going to only be working into the front loops only. We are going to need those back stitches though, and they get real tricky to get to if you don't mark them well. You can use stitch markers like I did, or you can simply use a piece of yarn, whatever works for you. But into the slip stitch, you're going to, or I'm sorry, into the front loop, you're going to slip stitch, and then you're going to chain 4. You're going to then turn it and single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Sometimes it can be a pain in the booty to get to. I use that very back loop there. And then you can single crochet into the next 2 chains. You're going to do that repeatedly 3 times. So in the next stitch, in the front loop only, you're going to start all over again with a slip stitch and then a chain 4. And then again, we're going to work into the back loops of those chains, starting with the second chain from the hook. And we're going to put single crochets all the way back down to the bottom in the remaining 2. I found that working in the back loops gives just a better appearance for the toes themselves, even though they're a pain in the butt to get to. Now, once you're finished with the toes, you're going to go ahead and pop in 5 single crochets. Pull that tight. Pop in the last single crochet right there at the very base of the toe. Then you're going to turn it slightly. You're not going to flip it over. You're not going to turn it, all the way around. You're just going to slightly turn it like this. and work in those back loops, and you're just going to put a single crochet in each one of those back loops. And then you're going to pop in a single crochet into the single crochet right on the other side of that toe. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer for you. Right there. Okay. Pop in that last single crochet and then slip stitch to finish it off. Again, we are going to need to make 2 of these. Okay, we are going to start our head and body with 6 single crochets in a magic ring. Row 2, we're going to do an increase in every stitch around. That's 6 increases, bringing us to a total of 12 single crochets for the round. For row 3, we're going to increase again in the next stitch and then single crochet. We're going to do that combination 6 times, bringing us to a total of 18 single crochets for the round. I always have to double check and count my rows right after each one because I lose track a lot. Now for row 4, we're going to do 18 single crochets for the round, no increases, just a straight 18 single crochets, one in every single stitch. Now this is where we're going to start seeing the shape of our head come together a little bit better, because starting in row 5, we're going to increase again in the next stitch and then 2 single crochets. So we're going to get a little bit bigger. This is going to bring us to 24 single crochets for that round. So 6 times we're going to do the combination of increase, 2 single crochets. As you can see, I have to constantly double check myself and make sure that I've got the right stitches in the right places. Let me know below if you guys have this issue as well. Here we go, counting again, just to make sure I've got it right. Tighten that up real good. I find that by tightening up after I've got a couple rows done, it works a lot better. Now rows 6 through 9 are going to be 24 single crochets in each round. That's 4 rows of 24 single crochets. Go ahead and finish that up. I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch me do every single itty bitty row. And I will meet you back here at the beginning of round 10. Okay, so for round 10, we're going to switch it up, and now we're going to start closing it up a little bit to further define the head. We're going to do a decrease and then 2 single crochets. We're going to do that combination 6 times. taking us from 24 back down to 18 single crochets. So decrease, 2 single crochet 6 times for a total of 18 single crochets in round 10. See, and it's starting to come together. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And of course, I have to count my stitches just to make sure I'm right. Now, rows 11 and 12 are going to be a total of 18 single crochets each. That's 2 rows of 18 single crochet. Okay, so this is where we're at now. We've done the head and started to do the neck. We're going to move on towards the body. Now we're going to do increase and 2 single crochets times 6. This is going to take us back up to 24 single crochets for the round. So at the end of round 13, you should have 24 single crochets. And you can see how it's coming down and then going back out again. Now row 14 is a little bit strange. We're going to start off with 8 single crochets, and then I want you to mark the beginning of the increase round. So 8 single crochets to begin, and then we're going to do 6 sets of increase and then a single crochet. We're going to mark the beginning and the end of those of the repeat, and then finish off row 14 with 4 single crochets. Now, the reason we want to mark the beginning and the end of those repeats is because that is the belly of our baby bird. And we're going to want to be able to position our eyes in the front rather than the back, which was a huge issue for me when I first designed this little lovebird. And then we're going to end with 4 single crochet. And so as you can see, I've got them marked. That's the front, and we're going to put the eyes right in between those markers. We're going to put them between rows 5 and 6 with about 5 stitches between. Now, if you're anything like me, they're not going to look right. So I have to fiddle with them every time I make this. We've got to fiddle with the eyes a little bit to make sure that I get them where I want them. Every bird that I make looks different. They each have their own little personality, so I just kind of flow with it. As long as they have about 5 stitches between, and are in between those markers, then you're good to go and your bird's going to look amazing. Now, when I put the backs on the safety eyes, I try really hard to make sure that I get them in as secure as possible. I also burn, as you can see, my safety eyes so that the backs don't pop off. I do this to make them as safe as possible because I do have a 2-year-old grandson. The safety eyes really are not so safe, but they are cute. Okay, we're going to go ahead and stuff the head pretty firmly. We want to make sure that it's got plenty of substance so that when we do that beak, it looks fantastic. So row 15, we're going to start with just a straight up 30 single crochets all the way around. It's just one single crochet in every single stitch. Make sure you double count. And then in row 16, we're going to do an increase, 2 single crochets. We're going to do that combination 3 times, followed by 18 single crochets, an increase, and then we're going to finish up with 2 single crochets. That's going to bring our row total to 34 single crochets for round 16. Okay, so for rows 17 and 18 is pretty simple. We're going to do 34 single crochets in each round. That's 2 rows of 34 single crochet. For row 19, we're going to start with 3 single crochets. Then we're going to do a repeat twice of an increase and then 4 single crochets. Increase and then 4 single crochets. Then we're going to follow that with 19 single crochets, an increase, and then finishing up with just 1 single crochet for a total of 37 single crochets in round 19. Now in row 20, we're going to keep it super simple. We're just going to do 37 single crochets for the entire round. Gotta love the simple rows. Okay, so row 21 is a little bit different. It's kind of a lot going on this round. So we're going to increase, then 2 single crochets. We're going to follow that 4 times. Then we're going to do 2 single crochets. We're going to decrease and then 3 single crochets. We're going to do that, repeat 4 times, finishing up with an increase and then 2 single crochets. So this is really where we get the belly shape for the bird, and we keep that back as flat as possible while also sweeping it out so that we get that little tail area as well. Sometimes I got to count backwards to make sure I got everything that I need and exactly where it needs to be. Sometimes my thinker doesn't actually work right. Double check where my decreases were so I can make sure I got exactly where I need to be. There we go. Now for row 22, we're going to keep it simple again. We're going to go with 38 single crochets for the entire round. Now for row 23, we're going to start with 13 single crochets. We're going to do a repeat twice of a decrease and then 4 single crochets. We're going to follow that repeat up with just 1 single crochet and then flip it around and do 2 repeats of 4 single crochets and then a decrease. That brings us to 34 single crochets for the entire round. For row 25, we're going to do 3 single crochets, and then we're going to do 3 repeats of an increase and then a single crochet. We're going to follow that with 3 single crochets, another 2 repeats of decrease, 5 single crochets, followed by a decrease, and then 3 single crochets. We're going to end this round with 34 single crochets. We're going to start row 26 with 7 single crochets. We're going to do a repeat of increase and single crochet. We're going to do that twice, followed by 5 single crochets, and then a repeat 6 times of decrease, then single crochet, ending the row 26 at 30 single crochets. Row 27 is a little bit different. We're going to start with 4 single crochets. This is where we really start to define that tail piece. So we're going to start with 4 single crochets, and then we're going to work in some back post single crochets. We're going to be doing 10 of those, and to do that, you're going to work from the back side, work under that stitch and around that post. We're going to do that 10 times. That's really where we're going to define that tail piece. Trying to get it as slow as possible here. Okay. Now you'll see you've got 2 rows now. How that second row we just did is kind of leaning towards the back. That's what we want. And then we're going to finish up this row with 16 single crochets for a total of 30 single crochet for the row 27. Now row 28, this is where we're really trying to get it closed off. We're going to do 6 repeats of a decrease and then 3 single crochet. We're going to be working into the row we just did, the back post single crochets, rather than the original one. That's the original. We're going to be working into the back right there. We're going to be ending this round with 24 single crochets. That's really going to define further that tail piece. So decrease 3 single crochets 6 times for a total of 24 single crochet. Okay, so you can see how that's folding down to really define where we're going to be sewing the tail on right here. So for row 29, we're just going to follow what we did in row 28. We're going to decrease, then we're going to do 2 single crochets. We're going to do that 6 times, leaving us with a total of 18 single crochets for round 29. We're going to go ahead and stuff it pretty firmly as much as possible. We want to make sure we fill out that belly section. We want it to be nice and firm. Birds have such cute bellies. And then for row 30, we're going to do a decrease and then a single crochet. We're going to be doing that 6 times. Sorry about the shaky. For a total of 12 single crochets in this round. Now, before we start closing off completely, we want to make sure that we stuff that tail section, make sure that it pokes out real nicely, and then finish filling in all the, you know, the fluff for the belly and the shoulders. We're going to finish this up with 6 decreases, leaving us with a total of 6 single crochets for the final row of 31. And then we're going to go ahead and finish it off. I use a tapestry needle, and then I just weave in the single crochets, um, going from the inside out. We're going to go ahead and pull that together. And then to flatten it out, we're going to bring it up. There we go. And then just kind of weave in the ends so that it's not quite as visible. There we go. You see, this is where we're going to sew the tail on, and we're going to be moving on to the beak. Now, the beak is a little bit different. We want to get right in the middle, and we're going to work in that post. So we're going to single crochet 4 around the post, right in the middle between the eyes. Now, this is probably the most difficult part of my little birdie, just because it's a pain in the butt sometimes. Take your time, because the beak really does make the bird. I try to do my single crochets all in one little area. So you've got a stitch, and there's 4 sides of that stitch. You want to single crochet around each of those sides. And try not to get tangled up. It's easy to do. And it does look like the bird is distorting, but it's not going to, I promise. So for the beak round 2 and every other round, you're going to single crochet around until you get the desired length. It depends on your birdie's personality, really. Just be patient and trust the process. You got this. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and weave in the ends, and we're going to shape our beak as we go. Now, you will have noticed that by single crocheting, there's some gaps. It kind of leans. Um, by weaving in your ends, you can really shape the beak and make it look the way that you want it to look. Fill in those gaps and kind of make it a little bit more solid. And it helps to make sure that your ends don't kind of come out. Just pull it through. And then we're going to do that original tail. We're going to pull that through as well. And then we're just going to clip them off. So that is our finished bird beak. He is so cute. All right. And then we've got the feet. Okay, so what I've decided with this little fella is I want to make him fuzzy. I'm not going to make the wings fuzzy. I'm not going to make the tail fuzzy. I'm not going to make the feet or obviously the beak. So this, usually I do before I put the beak on, but for some reason, I guess I changed my other mind. So let's go ahead and get him fuzzy. Now to do this, we need, oh goodness, we need just a regular, I guess, dog brush. I don't know. This is just a little one. And to do it, we just brush. This is just breaking those fibers up to make him fuzzy. And we're going to go in all different directions. Around the beak, oh, I got him fuzzy. Around the beak, we just kind of because we definitely don't want the beak fuzzy. So we're going to put like this just by the side. Anyway, you just do this all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and do this and I will meet you back here. So I'm going to start with the end from the magic ring that we started the foot with, because it's already in where it needs to go. We're just going to go up through this and just sew them on. Now, I did want to show you really quick, when you get to this part, it's a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to say different, but it is kind of, because there's only just a little lip going through each of the stitches and then securing it to the body. Okay, so we've got his feet on. Now, don't be alarmed if when you sew them, they do this, kind of curl up like that. That's okay, because when you set him down, level them out, and that's actually a good thing. All right, let's do his tail first, and then we'll do his wings. And if we feel like he needs a little bit more embellishment, we can do that too. All right, so from the middle, we're just going to go right here. All right, just like that, it's attached. So we're going to work 5 down this way and 5 down that way. And this is what I meant earlier when I said you don't want your tail to be super like floppy, because it's already difficult to, oh, sorry. It's already difficult to get in there where you fit in there when it comes to the, getting the tail to be still when it's not floppy. Now, to stop it from flopping so much, I've got that side and I'm going to work back on this side. So turning this way, I'm going to work my way back through and then head back over to the other side. Go ahead and continue to sew on your tail. It should be centered in the middle like that. And you don't want to start going up like this, but you want to, it needs to be centered. Okay, so we've got it sewed in. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off by weaving this up through here. Now this one we need to make sure is sturdy. So I'm going to make sure I weave them in pretty good, because we definitely don't want the tail to start coming off. That would be really, really bad. Okay, so his wings, you're going to have 3 of this on one side. Okay. So now, as you can see, I've got, this is where I want this one to be. I want it to rest right here. This one's up too high, so I've got to move it down. We want to get these as even as possible without, I mean, we don't want them to be overly even, because, like, it looks dumb. But we're going to do that right there. So, ooh, this one I'm going to go ahead and some people like the wings to stick out. Some don't. Honestly, I think it's a personality thing. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second as far as the wings go. Okay. So once we've got that in, the first one up at the top, the next one we're going to do is the bottom. And that is going to make sure that we don't get too far close to the tail, because then we'll know where to put the third one. Now they need to wrap like this, okay? They need to wrap around like that. That doesn't look too bad, right? Because then the third one is going to come in right here, and it's got to be sticking out. I'm going to use this one right here. It's got to be sticking out quite a bit, because it needs to be down a little bit further than the others. So they are going to overlap, and that's okay, because the other one is going to go on top. We're not going to put that one on top, though, until we get these sewed down and solid. All right, so there's one wing almost. And of course, this will come be like that right there, right? Okay, so let's do the other side. So just like the other side, we want them as close to each other, I mean like even as possible without them being like unnaturally even, unnatural. Like crochet is natural. Crochet is natural. It's fine. We're fine. These bad boys hurt when you step on them. So I kind of freak out when I lose one. It pops out of my hands because I can't feel my hands. Okay, so then we look at it straight on, and they actually don't look too bad. So now we just gotta sew these on and roll out. Go ahead and sew each of these on just like this, so around, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so here we are. We've got these. I left the bottoms open, not all the way, but you know, just a little bit, so if they wanted to flare out, they could. And so now we just need to add this, and we're going to do that by adding these right here. Again, now with these, I'm not going to do both sides because they pretty much go into the same place. But I am going to secure them with the string. Now with these, I don't want them to be super tight. I just want them to, you know, handle business. Go ahead and finish both sides, and I'll meet you right back here and we'll finish up. All right, so we've got the wings done. And now we need to just do his belly. Now the way that we do the belly is you take the other one of these that we made, plus the last one of the little ones, and we place them like that. So we're going to sew this to this, and then we're going to sew this right here to his belly. And that is going to give us our lovebird. Now, if you want, you don't have to do both. If you want to just do one or the other, that's fine. I like the dual color because it's what I do. It's what I do. So that's what I'm going to do. Sew this together, and then we'll sew the other on. Or if you're feeling froggy and you just feel like you just want to sew all of it together, well, shoot, you can do that too. I don't sew very fast. Do you guys sew fast? And if you do, let me know how you do it, because I am not good at that at all. Because no lovebird would be a lovebird without a great big heart. All right. So now that we've got that ready to go, we're going to go ahead and place him right here. And again, we're going to take our little pins, pin his little booty down, or bless his little heart, pin it down. It's like he's waving at you. One, two, buckle my shoe. Okay. This is our little bird. As you can see, there's that. He's got a great big heart. He looks like a turkey like that. Okay, so I went a little crazy. I decided to give him some hair. I didn't want him to be like fluffy, like blue fluff, but I did think he needed some hair. I didn't want him to be bald, so I gave him a whole hawk. What do you think? Anyway, I'm really excited to share this with you guys. This is going to be my very first pattern. I'm actually opening up an Etsy shop. Etsy shop. I'm actually opening up an Etsy shop, and this is going to be the very first pattern that I list. But I wanted to give you guys a heads up first. I wanted you guys to be able to see him, to be able to make him. I just think that my little My little butterscotch fluff. No, he's not fluffy. My little butterscotch sherbet is, he's super cute. So, along with his brothers and sisters, I hope y'all had fun. I hope you had half as much fun as I did making this. Let me know what you think. And listen, if you made this with me, please drop a picture in the comments and let me know how it went. I would love to see your creations. If you have any questions, definitely let me know because I'm going to get back with you.